Get your grimy hands off my car, you street rat. You're not worthy to even breathe the same air as this machine. The words, dripping with venom, shot from the mouth of billionaire Marcus Thorne. He loomed over 15-year-old Leo, a homeless Nigerian boy who had been admiring the sleek lines of the $10 million aerodrive Apex. Thorne turned to his security chief. Get this piece of trash out of my sight before I call the cops. But just hours later, Thorne was on his knees, begging. His prized hypercar was a $10 million brick. 20 of his best engineers were clueless. His entire reputation was on the line. That's when Leo stepped out of the shadows. I know what's wrong with it, he said, his voice soft but clear. Thorne laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. You? You're going to fix what my geniuses can't? The boy met his gaze, his eyes holding a wisdom far beyond his years. Give me a minute. 1 minute. 60 seconds to silence a bully and change his life forever. Aerodrive headquarters was a monument of chrome and black glass, a testament to Marcus Thorne's brutal ambition. Thorne had dragged himself up from a dirt-poor background, and he hated anyone who reminded him of it. At 48, he was a titan of the tech world, but success had hollowed him out, replacing empathy with arrogance. His new creation, the aerodrive Apex, was his masterpiece. It was a fully electric hypercar with a quantum computing AI that promised to redefine driving. In 24 hours, it was due to be unveiled in Dubai, securing a $2 billion deal that would cement Thorne's legacy. Leo had been living on the streets for a year after the uncle who brought him to America passed away, leaving him with nothing but a tattered notebook and a love for machines. He wasn't begging, he was learning. Every day, he sat across the street sketching the cars, watching the engineers. He saw things they didn't. He saw the flow, the rhythm of the machines, a skill he'd learned in his grandfather's dusty auto shop in Lagos. He noticed the Apex had a weird quirk, a flicker in its lights on damp mornings that no one else seemed to see. Dr. Anya Sharma, Aerodrive's lead engineer, was running on coffee and fear. The Dubai launch was everything, and the Apex was acting up. Status report, she barked at her team. The car suffered from a phantom power drain they couldn't trace. 1 minute the battery was full, the next it was dead. But diagnostics showed all systems were perfect. They all dismissed it as a software bug. But Leo, watching from afar, knew it was something more fundamental, something simple. At 5 p.m., Thorne's helicopter landed on the rooftop. He stormed into the workshop like a hurricane, his presence sucking the air out of the room. He was there for the final pre-flight inspection. Sir, there's a vagrant who keeps hanging around. His security chief, a burly man named Frank, reported. I've told him to leave a dozen times. Thorne's eyes locked onto Leo, who was sketching the car's undercarriage in his notebook. The sight of the boy's intense focus triggered a deep, irrational rage in him. This kid's hunger reminded him too much of himself. You! Thorne strode over, his expensive shoes clicking on the polished concrete. What do you think you're doing? Leo looked up, startled. I'm sorry, sir. I'm just admiring the design. The energy flow is incredible. Energy flow? Thorne snatched the notebook from Leo's hands, saw the detailed, surprisingly accurate sketches, and sneered. A street rat like you talking about energy flow? What would you know about it? With a flick of his wrist, he ripped the pages from the notebook, letting the pieces flutter to the ground. Now get out of my sight before I have you arrested for trespassing. As Frank moved to grab Leo, a sudden, deadening click echoed through the workshop. The Apex's vibrant LED lights went dark. The hum of its advanced engine died. The $10 million marvel was completely dead. What the hell was that? Thorne roared, spinning on his engineers. Dr. Sharma and her team swarmed the vehicle, their faces pale. Complete power failure, sir, she said, her voice trembling as she read the diagnostic tablet. The battery is completely drained. Drained? It was at 98% 2 seconds ago. Fix it. Now! For the next 4 hours, the workshop was a scene of controlled panic. 20 of the brightest minds in the automotive world tore the Apex apart and put it back together. They swapped the main battery pack. Nothing. They rebooted the quantum AI. Nothing. They replaced the entire powertrain controller. The car remained a lifeless sculpture of carbon fiber. Thorne was losing it. He paced back and forth, screaming into his phone at the logistics team in Dubai, threatening lawsuits, and firing engineers on the spot. "How can 20 geniuses be beaten by one car?" he raged at Dr. Sharma. "Sir, it's not logical," she explained, sweat beading on her brow. "The diagnostics are all green. The battery we just installed is fully charged, but the car won't draw power. It's like the energy is just vanishing." Vanishing? Thorne's face was purple. "I don't pay you millions for ghost stories. Find it." But they couldn't. They were trapped in their bubble of high-tech diagnostics and complex theories. They were looking for a million-dollar problem, but the answer was much, much simpler. Outside, hidden in the shadows, Leo watched them fail, the ripped pieces of his drawings clutched in his hand. He'd seen this happen before, on a smaller scale, in his grandfather's shop. He knew what they were missing. As desperation peaked, Thorne called an emergency meeting. "Options!" he demanded. "Sir, we've exhausted every protocol," a senior engineer admitted. "We can't solve this tonight." "Then you're all fired!" Thorne screamed. "Every last one of you!" "Excuse me!" The voice was quiet but carried across the tense workshop. All heads turned. Leo stood at the edge of the open bay door, having slipped back in unnoticed. "I think I know what's wrong." Thorne's rage turned to hysterical laughter. "Oh, this is rich. The little street artist thinks he can do what my entire team can't." He jabbed a finger at Leo, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "You know what? Let's make this fun. If this nobody can fix my car, I'll give him $1 million. But when he fails, and he will fail, I'm having him locked up for good." The stakes were set. A fortune and a boy's freedom hung in the balance. Dr. Sharma started to protest, but Leo's calm confidence stopped her. He nodded once. "Okay." He walked toward the dead hypercar, the entire workshop watching his every move. He ignored the engineers and their fancy equipment. He knelt beside the front passenger side wheel, his eyes scanning the undercarriage. He looked up at Thorne, then at the defeated engineers. His voice was steady. "Give me a minute." Dr. Sharma, against her better judgment, started a timer on her phone. 60 seconds. 55 seconds. Leo didn't touch a computer. He pointed at the floor. "The floor here is damp, right? From when you washed the cars this morning." The engineers nodded, confused. 45 seconds. When a battery like this discharges energy that fast, it creates heat. But you've been looking for the heat in the engine, in the battery. You're looking in the wrong place. 30 seconds. He pulled a small, worn wrench from his pocket, his grandfather's. He reached under the car, into a spot no one had bothered to look. "Your main grounding cable connects the whole electrical system to the chassis right here," he said, his voice echoing slightly. "It's the return path for all the energy." 20 seconds. "Your diagnostics say it's connected. But you didn't check how it's connected." He positioned the wrench. "There's a hairline crack in the bolt casing. Tiny. You can't see it. But when the floor is damp, a little bit of moisture gets in there. The massive power of the car shorts directly to the ground through the water. All the energy just dumps out. Vanishes." He gave the wrench a single firm turn. Click. 10 seconds. "I saw steam," Leo said softly. "Just a tiny wisp. Every morning it was damp. That was your vanishing energy." He slid back out and stood up. "Try it now." For a moment, nobody moved. Then Dr. Sharma, her hands shaking, remotely triggered the startup sequence from her tablet. The AeroDrive Apex exploded to life. Its lights flashed, the dashboard glowed, and the engine let out a powerful, perfect hum. The diagnostic screen lit up with one word: optimal. The workshop erupted. Engineers cheered, hugged, and cried with relief. Their jobs, the company, the $2 billion deal, all saved. But their celebration quickly died down as they stared, in stunned silence, at the 15-year-old boy holding a rusty wrench. He had fixed in 60 seconds what they couldn't in 4 hours. Marcus Thorne stood frozen, his face a mask of disbelief and utter humiliation. The video of his cruel challenge, streamed by a curious mechanic on his phone, was already going viral. Dr. Sharma approached Leo, her eyes filled with awe. "How did you possibly know that?" "My grandfather taught me," Leo said simply. "He always said, don't just look at the machine. Listen to it. Feel its flow." Your car had no flow. That night, Marcus Thorne was forced to make the most humiliating public apology of his life. The viral video cost his company 20% of its stock value overnight. The board forced him to establish a $10 million grant in Leo's name for unconventional thinkers. Leo never took the $1 million. Instead, he took the offer Dr. Sharma made him: a full scholarship, a place to live, and a new title, Chief Innovation Consultant at AeroDrive. He finally had a home. He proved that genius isn't about where you come from or what degrees you have. It's about seeing the world differently. Share this story if you believe that true talent can be found anywhere. The world is full of overlooked geniuses waiting for their chance. What would you have done if you were in that workshop? Subscribe to Black Fables for more inspiring stories where the underdog changes the world.